Welcome back. You're watching World News and I'm your host, Klaudia Czerwińska. And we begin with some breaking news from Poland. The Polish president wants to strip his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky of the Order of the White Eagle, Poland's highest state decoration. The move comes after the Ukrainian president named one of Ukraine's military units after fighters of the Ukrainian insurgent army. The Ukrainian insurgent army was responsible for killing some 100,000 Poles in a World War II massacre and helped Nazi Germany carry out the Holocaust.
Unfortunately, President Zelensky has proven that Ukraine is not ready to be part of the European family in terms of grappling with its own history, specifically its glorification of thugs and murderers from the Ukrainian insurgent army. Because in the European family, you cannot glorify thugs and murderers who killed women and children, who killed Poles. I received this news with great sadness. On June 8th, the Order of the White Eagle will convene, and I have proposed that one of the agenda items be the rescinding of President Zelensky's White Eagle order.
And now Romania. The country is not facing a direct attack, but rather suffering the effects of a conflict taking place right across its border. That's what the deputy commander of Romania's Joint Forces Command said about the incident involving a Russian drone striking a residential building in the Romanian city of Galați.
All available data has already been analyzed to establish the exact sequence of events, and there were no real opportunities to engage the craft safely. I want to be very clear that the situation is under control. We are not facing an attack on Romania. We are facing the effects of a conflict taking place right next to our border. We have a system for monitoring Romania's airspace and the airspace adjacent to Romania within the limits of technical capabilities and the radio horizon, and the surveillance systems are efficient. We have ground-based air defense systems, but they were designed and built before 2023, when this drone war started, and Romania is sparing no efforts to improve its system of engaging and combating such aerial threats.
The potential for escalation in Russia's war against Ukraine increases with drone incidents such as the overnight incursion in Romania. Orlea Racheva, an analyst at Eurasia Group, told TVP World. Racheva also warned that greater preparedness was vital to prevent civilian casualties.
The likelihood of escalation after such attacks or incidents inevitably increasing, and the readiness should increase as well. I mean, we already saw that Romania already asked for more anti-drone systems. So I do see the discussion going towards that way, that we will see higher readiness, more discussions on how to increase our readiness and how to prepare for such incidents, specifically with drones, because there has been precedent for this, of course, but it's a completely other situation if you have to shoot down a drone, because the issue is that fallen debris can cause civilian injuries and casualties. And once you have civilian casualties, I think that's something that's going to completely change the discussion. As long as we are not seeing civilian deaths in these countries, we are talking mostly about, increasing our readiness, having scenarios, increasing, talking about our structure and decision making so that we can react quickly. But of course, once there are civilian casualties, that's going to be a completely different discussion, and we have to be ready for that.
Finland's foreign ministry says it summoned Russian ambassador Pavel Kuznetsov on Thursday over a suspected violation of Finnish airspace by a Russian military aircraft near the capital, Helsinki. The incident occurred on Wednesday near the Pohjola Peninsula, approximately 40 kilometers southwest of Helsinki. The Finnish Air Force scrambled planes in response to the airspace breach by a Russian military aircraft. No details were provided regarding the type of aircraft suspected of the violation. It could be a fighter, bomber, transport aircraft, helicopter, or even an unmanned aerial vehicle. Finnish Defense Minister Antti Häkkänen said an investigation was opened immediately after the incident. According to the official, the Russian aircraft was attempting to avoid a thunderstorm over the Gulf of Finland, but this has not been confirmed. The incident comes amid heightened concerns over Russian military activity near NATO airspace, particularly along the alliance's northern and eastern flanks. New Hungarian Prime Minister Peter Magyar is meeting with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen later Friday to try and unblock more than €10 billion of frozen EU cash. Our correspondent in Brussels, Kazimierz Łysiak, has this report.
The new Hungarian Prime Minister Peter Magyar is here in Brussels and he's meeting with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen to discuss the unblocking of 10.4 billion euro of EU cash frozen by the European Commission over what it said were violations of the rule of law in Hungary done by the previous Prime Minister Viktor Orban. Peter Magyar secured a landslide victory in an election earlier this year, ousting Viktor Orban after more than 16 years of him in power. And he based the majority of his election campaign on exactly that, on securing these crucial EU funds. And just to give you an example of how much money we're talking about, this 10 billion euro is about 8% of all of Hungary's budget spending for 2026. So we're not talking about pennies here. This is crucial for Magyar and his government to finally deliver on this big election promise. Yesterday, he was quite optimistic as he arrived here to the Belgian capital, saying that the initial agreement is already secured with the European Commission and that they are now ironing out the details. When we can expect an announcement, that is definitely not happening earlier than 12. We spoke with a person inside the European Commission who said that there will be a press briefing, a press conference after the typical midday briefing here at the European Commission. So somewhere after noon, we should see more details on whether Peter Magyar can be successful in bringing back that crucial money for his country. From Brussels, Kazimierz Łysiak, TVP World.
And now time to head to the final frontier, where at least 4 Russian satellites have reportedly flown a little too close to a radar surveillance system that delivers intelligence to Ukraine. As Sonia Gatabishchan explains, it's not the first time the Kremlin has been caught tracking foreign spacecraft.
A face-off in the final frontier. Several Russian Cosmos satellites have maneuvered into nearly the same orbit used by ICEYE X-36, a satellite which is part of a constellation that Ukraine can use.
This is very unusual, and it is pretty obvious that this was done intentionally because satellites don't just show up randomly in places. You have to actively move them there.
This animation provided to TVP World by Sabre Astronautics, showing the US-registered ICEYE satellite in question, demonstrates the recent trajectories of the spacecraft. According to experts, this proximity may benefit Russia's intelligence gathering in space.
This gives them the opportunity to not only determine and see what this satellite might be observing, but also puts them in a position of relative advantage if they wanted to take specific actions against this asset.
Polish-Finnish company ICEYE has been collaborating with Ukraine amid the ongoing Russian aggression. The firm, whose satellites offer high-resolution imagery, estimates that approximately 70% of images used by Ukraine may be coming from its satellites. According to Integrity ISR, Russia previously alleged that it will deem commercial satellites assisting Kiev a legitimate target.
Commercial satellites used to not be considered of use in a conflict that has changed significantly with the war in Ukraine. We can expect that this is going to be happening more, and not just ICEYE satellites, but any other commercial operator that is being used in any sort of military conflict.
And looking at the trajectory of Russian military satellite Luch 2, this is not the first time Moscow seems to have taken interest in foreign spacecraft. Since its launch in 2023, Luch 2 approached at least 17 European satellites. Analysts note that this type of proximity in space could lead to anything from loss of communication to a collision in orbit. For TVP World, I'm Sonia Gatabishchan.
Armenia held a military parade in the capital Yerevan on Thursday to celebrate Republic Day, which marks the foundation of the first Armenian Republic in 1918. The display of military might comes 10 days before Armenians head to the polls to elect their new parliament.
Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan and other senior officials attended the Republic Day parade featuring marching troops, a flypast, and a showcase of military hardware, including domestically produced drones and weapons system produced from several countries.
The parade was amazing, and seeing all of the new military equipment and everything, the way it was set up, was magnificent, and it made me very proud to be here and to be Armenian.
Pashinyan has been in office since 2018 and is pulling out all the stops to secure a third term in elections scheduled for June 7th.
If things continue like this, in 5 years, Russia will envy us, our might. Just wait and see. In 5 years of peace and no war, you'll see all what heights of technology will reach.
Under Pashinyan's premiership, Armenia in recent years has sought closer ties with Europe and the United States, a pivot that has angered Russia.
Russia has never been against Armenia diversifying its foreign relations, although the current policy pursued by Armenian authorities can hardly be called that, and I don't think we can call it balanced towards Russia.
Russia said on Thursday it would impose temporary restrictions on some fruit and vegetable imports from Armenia as Moscow hopes to draw the South Caucasus nation back into its sphere of influence after Yerevan signed a bilateral treaty with the U.S. on Tuesday, pulling it further west.
By renewing the Strategic Partnership Charter, it's an opportunity to outline the future of the U.S.-Armenia bilateral relationship and creating a new path for partnership and economic opportunity for Armenians and for Americans.
Pashinyan's Civil Contract Party is the front-runner to win and keep his majority in parliament. According to opinion polls, his party leads with 29%, though public support has weakened, with pro-Russian forces polling at around 24%.
8 students were rescued from a roller coaster that malfunctioned and got stuck at almost 30 meters above ground. The incident occurred in Galveston, Texas. The students came to the Pleasure Pier's Iron Shark roller coaster as part of their school trip. After the ride got stuck some 30 meters above ground, they remained stranded for almost 4 hours until rescue workers freed them using an aerial work platform. According to Pleasure Pier officials, the ride did indeed experience a malfunction but stopped exactly how it was designed to in such cases. Well, we hope and we're very happy that everyone is just fine. This marks the end of World News. I'm Klaudia Czerwińska. Thank you for joining, and I hope to see you back here at 2 p.m. CET for the Midday Report.